This is a fan-generated show. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our new Rumble channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm thrilled to announce the release of my new book, Obama's True Legacy, How He Transformed America. There's a reason why Mike Huckabee calls it a ferocious and chilling read. Order it now at Amazon.com or at FrontPageMag.com. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Welcome back here to America's Mom here on X America News. We're so grateful to have you with us as we continue our coverage here in Romania of the upcoming elections. There's been so much happening here that is affecting and impacting us in America, as well as it creates destabilization. And we continue to watch the UN and the EU and keep a very close eye on their own motivations as we near this presidential election one more time. Remember, it was thrown out in December. It has massive impact, of course, on the people here. And my guest right now has actually been inspired and motivated to get into this battle simply because this is her country, just like we feel in America. So Anamaria, Gavrilă, you are the president of the Young People Party. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about your past first, and how did you get involved in politics, especially at such a critical, crucial time right now in this country?
First of all, welcome to Romania. It's really nice to have you here. I've been abroad actually for 15 years, between 2005 and 2020. I used to live and work and study in the UK and Germany. My background is not politics, it's real estate. I've used to work for real estate investment funds, private equity. And as I came back in 2020 with my background in real estate and my experience with the local administration, I really wanted to do something for my local city, which is a small city, like 50,000 people. But I was like, okay, I'm ready to do something for the community if I'm back. And this is how I entered the politics. So I had no idea about politics. I have to admit, I was naive about all these games and, numbers and so. I was just like, I learned something in, Germany and the UK especially, and working for, with Americans and all this private equity people, and that is give 100%. So I took it and I just gave 100%, and nobody was giving me any chance. They were saying like, just
you don't know
relax,
the rules. Yeah, you don't know how this works.
Exactly.
Like,
Look at the numbers. You have no idea how this works. And I was like, I don't understand. I'm just gonna give 100%. And although people were saying like, you're just gonna do like a 0.5%. If you do 1%, you're like amazing. And that means, but we've done 7%. So
okay, so bringing in the actual voter base, or actually converting elections.
So I used to be actually part of our. So this is how I was a candidate in 2020 for my local city. But our was also a new party. So. There was not a parliamentary party, political party. Nobody knew about it. So I used to do the startup thing. This is a new party. This is how we do things. We did things differently. And with a new party that nobody knew about it, in 2 months of campaigning and canvassing, we've done 7% at the local level. And that was amazing.
That is amazing. So they didn't even expect that you would bring in 0.5. And I just want to be clear on that. So that was participation, people coming to vote, or was it a literal turnabout in election outcome?
No, that was our votes from the, the total sum of votes that were casted in 2020 for the local city.
That is incredible. That's really fantastic. So that's 2020. And so now here we are in 2025, gearing up for another shot at this presidential race, hoping that the Supreme Court will not step in again, or the EU step in again. What do you expect to see from the advancement of the Young People's Party, and who gets to be a part of the Young People Party?
We never have a plan saying that we need to achieve this. What we need to do, and this is our motto, is give 100%. We're not going to stop until we come to a point where we say, is there anything we can do? And if we can say, oh, really, there's nothing that comes to my mind that I can do more, then that's the point where we say, okay, now we have to, say, God will take it further from now on. God and faith is really a big part of what we do. This might sound a little bit new in politics, but we really believe that this is the way forward. If we want to achieve progress, progress for us means harmony. Harmony means we need to work together with God. So we do our part as humans, and everything that comes to our mind that we can do physically, humanly. But from that point on, we still need to say, okay, God, now it's in your hands and you do it further. So this is how POT really works, and this is what me as a president, and this is how we took this party in the parliament. People from outside gave us no chance of achieving this 5% to get into the parliament, seeing like our expenses for the campaign were something like 55,000 euros in total.
Wow.
Compared to
Incredible.
like tens of millions of euros that the political parties or hundreds of millions of euros that the political parties use. And we just leverage everything we got. Our experience as a professionals, our experience abroad, because a lot of our members used to work abroad, have this experience from, the European countries, and, used to live a long time, many years abroad. We leveraged TikTok 100%. So TikTok was really
I'm surprised
big
they didn't
part
throw your elections out if you were leveraging TikTok. I mean, really, the basis of the December, throwout was, Caitlin Georgescu has followers on TikTok. I mean, that was crazy.
You will not believe it, but in those documents that they say, they are declassified, the name of POT does come up there near the Caitlin Georgescu's campaign.
Okay.
And they say like, oh, and by the way, POT also had a massive campaign 2 weeks before the elections. And we were like, really? It's like, what were we supposed to do 2 weeks before the elections? Put our feet up and just, relax? That's what you do. You're very, very, active. Of course.
We would call this a grassroots movement in America. I want to kind of go back just a little bit to what you were talking about with the Christian perspective. This is a challenge that we definitely have in the States, where we have a lot of Christians who are bowing out of politics and saying politics is not for believers. That's not where Christians should be planting their feet. How do you overcome that? And do you think is it more personal than going to the masses and saying we have a Christian duty? How do you view that?
So for me personally, and this is what I bring to POT as well, if you play their game, if you play the game of politics that, the old system built, you're never going to win, because we don't have the money, we don't have the televisions, we don't have the, the business people behind, and so on and so forth, the interest and so on and so forth. So you need to build a new game. In anything you do, if you're new, you need to be innovative and build a new game if you want to win. So what we do is say to people, we don't have to do politics the way they do it. We just have to build politics in a new way, in a way that really goes to what do we really want to achieve? We want to achieve harmony. We can have infrastructure, we can have technology, we can have energy, but if we as human, we hate each other, we have, a relationship where we can, we do not know how to say sorry and, build the relationship back and, really live in a community where we care about what is happening with other people. It's not just like self-interest. Then this is not progress for us. We can have flying taxis, but if we don't have good relationship as humans, where does this world go towards what? So for us, it's about saying to people, what do we want to achieve? We want to achieve that. Okay, how do we do that? We do that by being an example. What can we do? We can do this and this and this, and this is what we give 100%. And then, really, for us, we believe that God is not going to be, I don't care. God is going to say, okay, you've gave 100%, I'm going to do the rest. And this is what happens for us all the time. I mean, even now with, I don't know if you are aware that both Giorgia Simeon and me, we submitted our candidature for the presidency just in case one of us will be kicked out. And so because we had to go back to the citizens and get the signatures, a minimum of 200,000 each of us in like 48 hours. and we get such a wave
That is
of
a huge
sympathy.
task, by the way. A huge task to accomplish.
We didn't even have to do much. I mean, I'm very grateful to the team of our and to the team of POT and the parliamentaries and the MPs. They done a great job. But the thing is that people came to us. They were even sitting in the dark.
Oh, wow.
Near the car, pouring rain. They were sitting with the umbrella to give us signatures. Like, people really want change in Romania. And this is what we want to send the message to the new administration in Washington. People in Romania really want to see this group of people that took over the power. They really want to see them gone. And unfortunately, because of the judicial system that is also included in this group, we do not have many instruments. So we really need to be a partner in this, because it's not just about Romania, it's about Europe, and it's about the world.
Well, and it sounds like, too, they're breaking their own rules. The Supreme Court is breaking its own rule. Its job is to advance the law, and instead they've become the moral authority now. That's certainly not their position, certainly not their place. The law is moral already. It doesn't need them to add their hearts and what their values or what their beliefs are into the equation. So it's fascinating to hear you talking this way. What do you think is the number one, when you talk about Romania wanting to be stable, Romania wanting to see the previous governance gone, what is the number one driving factor for that? What is it that Romanians are experiencing that's getting them in the streets, where you have thousands of people gathering together? I don't know that we could get that in America at this point right now, but you guys are having it here. Thousands of people gathering together in the streets saying, this is enough of this. We want to have real elections. What's the motivation behind that? What is affecting their day-to-day life that has finally gotten them into the street like that?
I can tell you from my personal experience. My father is still a truck driver in Europe and has been so for all his life. We haven't lived home with my father because he was always abroad and working. And like me, there are millions. There is almost no family in Romania that didn't have one member being abroad for many years, bringing money so they can live home and go to school and have what they need, the minimum, like not being rich, the minimum, okay? So this scar in our nation is really still open and really still very, very painful. So it's not about revenge. It's about, we've done such a huge sacrifice for 35 years. You're not going to take us. You're not going to take us. We gave so many years, so many millions of people and families that didn't, children that didn't live and they didn't grow up with their parents.
This is during the communism era and post.
And post, because our economy didn't allow us to live here a normal life. So almost every family had a member that had to go abroad and earn money. Mm-hmm. So families didn't live together. They didn't have Christmases. They didn't have Easter. They didn't have birthdays together. And also the worst part, like, funerals and so on and so forth. So this is a scar in our nation. Mm-hmm. And because of this huge sacrifice, we're not going to let you take us away. Our so big sacrifice and say that we are not allowed now to have our own president. You steal our votes. POT was stolen 2 senator seats, because also the judges from the higher court, they say, oh, you didn't have candidates in this county and this county, so we're not going to give it to you. So we had 9 places of senators, and they gave us 7. Just at the limit, because if you want to have a group in the Senate, you need 7 members. So they say, okay, we're just going to give them 7, and we're going to make sure maybe we'll buy one. So, one, retires or goes to another group. So we destructure them. So for the first 2 months in the Senate, we didn't have a group established because they thought, we don't need to, establish them a group and give them stuff and so on and so forth because they're going to destroy them anyway.
You're a passing trend. Yeah.
So what I'm really proud of our people is that our people really came in the parliament with a mission. They didn't pay for their seats. They didn't, donate a lot of money or so on and so forth. They really came for a mission, and they're still stick together, and we're still together, and we still have a group in the Senate, and I'm very proud of that.
So just to kind of go back to the motivation has really been the economy. And like you said, it's driving people to sacrifice even more. I mean, truly, running for office, being in the political sphere is very, very tough. It's exhausting. It's a ton of work. It's a whole lot of zero appreciation. And then if things don't go quite right, you've never seen more opportunity for people to turn. It's very, very challenging. And I think when you're talking about having God at the center, I think it's a great, I think it is should be the standard. I just find, and as you guys have experienced, politics can be so dirty when power becomes the modus operandi. That's what the target is more power rather than what is in the best interest of the people. The motivation is economics. I find it interesting. George Simeon's parents both were economists. And of course, George is in that venue also. Will the Young People Party be supporting George Simeon for president in May?
So we all, together with Călin Georgescu now, and I was witness to this meeting. All three of us had a meeting, and this is how it was decided. So I can be the witness for that. So anyone who says like we're not sure that Călin Georgescu gave his approval for George Simeon, I can witness it. He did. So I was there.
Is there a reason that Călin Georgescu has not come out publicly endorsed George Simeon yet?
No, I think we have to have some acceptance. Part of the faith is not just asking and saying thank you for things. It's also have acceptance. And acceptance is that when you do everything, you need to understand that some things are just happening because there is a reason. Even if you think they're not ideal, they're happening because in the future you're going to see why this happened the way it happened. I think Călin Georgescu is just taking a break, and it's very, very important for any leader to take a break, to see what is happening, to get your forces back.
I mean, he's been under investigation. He's faced the full vitriol of this government in Romania. Just to remind people, I mean, they have come after him hard. And it is exhausting as well.
But I'm aware, and I've always said, if you're really ready to do something for your people, you need to be ready to die as a political person. Because you need to make a huge sacrifice to say, like, nothing is going to stop you. If you condition yourself from like, oh, I'm going to lose the seat, or if I do this and this, you're never going to do the extraordinary. So you really need to go 100%. It's either this, I have one life, God gave me this mission, and I'm going to go for it 100%. Nothing is going to stop me.
You're an incredible woman.
Everything's from God.
Anamaria, Gavrilă, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your devotion to your country. You remind us to be re-inspired in America. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we will be right back. We are live here in Cluj, Romania.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bedsheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
Welcome back, everyone, to America's Mom here on X America News. We have been here in Cluj, Romania, talking about very important subjects that are affecting not only this country, but the entire area, the entire European Union. And I sense it's going to affect America eventually. It is not a big shock to me when you see NATO and the UN, and the EU seemingly to partner, and again, this collusion to go against Russia. Are we friends with Russia? I don't know. You know what? At this point, if you say anything, you're going to be considered a Putinite anyway. So I don't even know what to say about that. What I can say is in this country, they don't want war. They don't want to go to war. Ukrainians don't want war. They want to end the war. This region is ready for peace. They want to get back to moving in the right direction and creating productivity for their people. They want to love their own countries. They want to end the wokeism and the multiculturalism that is continuing to just drain them of resources and potential in their own country. I've had Cosmin Corendea with me before, and he has talked about exactly what's happening in this country, why it's so imperative that we pay attention. I want to share with you just a little bit about him. He is, of course, a member of the parliament and a member of AUR. He is a renowned expert in both international law and human rights. His expertise focuses on migration, on human rights laws, as well as climate governance. And you, of course, are an expert in everything happening right here in Romania, why it matters so much. And I'm amazed that the dots don't seem to be connected abroad, and I'm disappointed in that. But tell me a little bit about how you see the situation right now. We're preparing for another election when the previous one was thrown out. You've spoken about that at length. And by the way, I would add, you can find the interview that we did with Cosmin on americasmom.net and also here on X. So please look for that previous interview. But pick us up, bring us up to date where we're at now.
Well, we are still in this unprecedented situation created by the Constitutional Court decision last December. And we are facing a new round of elections. Theoretically, these elections will be illegal, mainly because it's the continuation of a process which has been cancelled in the first place.
And illegal.
Yeah, yes. And then we are finding now ourselves in a new election cycle where I am not sure if the results will be recognized by both the Constitutional Court in Romania, but also by our partners, our friends. Mainly because it was created this very dangerous precedent where the Constitutional Court can decide if they like or not the outcome of the elections. So they have the power to cancel it again based on this precedent, or our international partners and friends who might not recognize the outcome of the elections because of exactly what happened last December. So we don't understand, and I think we are in this position right now where we don't understand the danger of that precedent from the decision of the Constitutional Court in December. We try to move from that behind the word of stability. It's an obsession with the word of stability of the Romanian politicians. Mm-hmm. The interim president is telling us about the stability. The court's judge came out publicly in an interview and he talked about the democratic tools to create stability. Everything seems to go towards stability. However, I'm not sure if we are stabilized whatsoever, mainly because this dangerous precedent I was talking about, it's putting us in a very unknown situation. And we don't know how to deal with that. Yes, we know how to deal with presidential elections because we had that in the past, but I'm not sure how to deal with presidential elections which may be changed, and not by the voters, not by the people, by some institutions.
Sergio Velasco, who is out of Spain, he's a journalist out of Spain, was talking about how there have been documented statements by EU members stating that they now have this new tool in their box to control nation states. They've done it to Germany, they've done it to Poland, and now they've done it to you, Romania. And they're not even hiding it. They're not trying to pretend that they're not trying to cause a provocation, I would say, by the people, but also a placement of the person they want in that position. Do you see that that's going to be the inevitable outcome of this, or do you think there is hope that the people's voice somehow can break through even what the EU wants for their future? I
hope not. I hope the vote will still count at the end of the day, and people will elect whoever they believe it should be their president. Obviously, from my point of view, the next president, without any doubt, should be President George Simeon. But besides that, I'm not sure that the European partners will have been able to do that without our consent. That's the problem. That's the main. So the problem comes from within out, as the healing as well, from within out. We don't need anyone from coming from outside, being Russians, EU, or even the US, coming and telling us what to do when we know that we have to heal ourselves from inside out. So this being said, well, I hope the vote of the people will still count, because apparently the freedom of speech is kind of in a limbo now in Romania. We have journalists who are being banned. We have penalties after penalties for some televisions which do not agree necessarily with the system. And we had a crime. We had an investigation over the former runner, Mr. Georgescu. So these things are just adding more to the suspicion, which slowly becomes true, right? That everything is trying to be controlled. And I'm not sure that the vote of the people should be controlled.
Would you walk us back through, you said there's basically 4 steps that have taken Romania from somewhat stability to this instability of not even knowing if their next election will count.
Yeah, it's a very simplistic equation. However, I think that it shows clearly what happened here from the legal perspective. So we have the first step happening, what happened on the 5th of October. It was the cancellation of a candidate, of a runner. You cannot cancel, according to Romanian law, you cannot forbid anyone to run for an election without a decision or a final decision of a court. That lady in particular did not have that decision. So from my point of view, it was a legal abuse, a legal interpretation, subjective interpretation of law. And subjectivity should not be close to the word law, because this is what the law is about. It's about objectivity. Yeah, you cannot have subjectivity.
It just is what it is.
Right. The second step was taken on 6th of December, when you know very well that the round 2 was actually stopped during voting, the voting process.
Right.
And it was people were voting in Western Europe. Romanians were voting, and they stopped completely, and they interrupted and canceled.
Once it was realized that Georgescu was going to win and not the establishment candidate, the powers that be stopped the election and said, just joking, we're not really having an election.
Yeah, so they canceled it during the process. They didn't even wait for the outcome to come, because they were, I believe, they were afraid that the outcome obviously will be in favor of Mr. Georgescu, so this will add more heat, if you want, on top of the cancellation.
So
who
made the call?
Well, institutional-wise, it was the Constitutional Court. They made the call. They took the decision, a motivation, which came out on that late afternoon on Friday, December 6th, when they said that based on some information that there is some kind of foreign intervention in the electoral process of Romania, we are canceling the entire process. After that was happening on Friday, after Monday, so 4 days before, that they validated the first round. So they validate the first round.
Everything's good, process
Everything is
great, we're happy.
We recognize the elections. On Monday, we recognize the elections. On Wednesday, we have a defense meeting showing that there is some kind of interference, or foreign interference in the Romanian affairs.
Is this the TikTok situation?
And that is the TikTok and the Russian injury.
I'm sorry. I should have known Russia was going to be there.
Obviously, Russians are everywhere. I'm pretty sure they are present here. I mean, everywhere.
If this whole interview goes a mess, just know it was the Russians. I don't know.
Exactly. So that was happening on Wednesday, and then on Friday we had the second round starting, especially in the Western Europe, in the foreign countries where you have 3 days of elections, and the process started. In the morning, we had the first polls coming out. Mr. Georgescu was way in front of the other runner. And in the afternoon, the Constitutional Court comes out and says that based on the new evidence, that this injury, this intervention, this foreign presence in our electoral process, we need to cancel the entire electoral process. So we canceled what we recognized 4 days ago. We canceled the votes of the people, not only the 9.5 million votes which were expressed in the first round, but we are also canceling the votes which are present today. So in the middle of the process, this is unbelievable. This is unprecedented. It never happened before. It was another two countries, I won't tell them their names, on another continent, which happened to that. But they are very far away from democracy, or what we believe to be democracy.
I appreciate you saying that, because this is very much third world stunts.
Yeah, you said it closer to the truth. But yes, and this was the second step, and that was massive. That was because it created this, again, I have to underline, I have to push for the president. And based on the president, you have the Commission of Venice, a very respectful juridical body in Europe, composed by real judges. Yeah, real judges. We have kind of semi-judges in the Constitutional Court because they are appointed politically. And some of them, they were not even judges before. But they had some legal experience, of course. That is a requirement. And the Commission of Venice comes and says, what you did in December is not right. It was illegal, practically. And one of the reasons why it was illegal was because the candidate could not appeal. Because after the Constitutional Court is like the Supreme Court in the US. You cannot appeal. There is no body to go to. Not even regional, because we tried. We go to OCE, we go to the Venice Commission, we go to Council of Europe, we went to the European Court on Human Rights. All of us, as a supporting party behind Mr. Georgescu, we tried all the international venues available for us, but none of them was actually the right one, because there is no right one after a Constitutional Court decision. It's final. This is it. And it says that he did not have a court to appeal. So that was illegal, because you cannot cancel the entire process. You cannot ban a person without the right to appeal. Right? That person has the right to appeal. I mean, okay, maybe in the first court you ban me, but maybe in the second court, the higher court, maybe they turn over the decision and I can actually run, because maybe you're subjective, coming back to subjectivity, and these guys will be objective. Well, and the third step was Mr. Georgescu being banned from running by the Electoral Bureau. Electoral Bureau, it's an institution in Romania which has not the legal capacity to take these decisions. But the motivation the Electoral Bureau gave was based on the former two decisions of the Constitutional Court, the two ones I told you from last year. So the motivation was full of Constitutional Court's decisions, wording. So they banned him, and obviously he has an appeal option, and that appeal option will be the Constitutional Court itself. And the Constitutional Court comes and says, well, we validate the banning because there is our motivation, their motivation, so we cannot cancel our own motivation, even if it comes from anyone else, because this is probably, we're going to recognize that what we did was legal. And this is it. This is the end of it.
That's incredible.
And based on that, again, the same lady who was banned last October, she was banned again now to run. She tried to run. Although in the world, and this is a general principle of law, worldwide applicable, you cannot be charged for the same crime twice.
Double jeopardy.
Double jeopardy. So she already committed a crime, I'm using quotation marks for everyone, by being or saying something which was not constitutional. Then that was the reason why she was banned last October. She did not say anything else since October, so she didn't manifest any kind of behavior against that decision. So now they ban her again because they believe it's a threat to our Constitution.
Incredible.
So
I just, you think about this in American terms. Number one, it would be President Trump winning and then them revoking his victory, which to me, there would be madness in the streets. And to just really give props to the Romanian people, they have come out in the hundreds of thousands to protest what's happening here. And then this time is Trump attempting to run again, and then just telling him, I have a moral I have a moral decision to make here, and my morality will not allow you to run. That is not judicial. That's not law. The law is plain. It says what it says. Our morality no longer needs to be added to it because the law is correct.
Right.
That's all
because
there is to
if
it.
you will have been associated, or if you will have had a final decision call, for example, with what happened to the Capitol, then that's okay. This is it. You are charged officially. The court decided that, so your right to be elected will be suspended for a period of time while you are actually consuming your punishment. Right? This is worldwide again applicable. It's not only the US or Europe.
Yeah.
So it's not this case at all. I mean, there was no legal final court decision against these people. So that's why it's mind-blowing from the legal perspective. And me as a lawyer, I cannot actually look at it. I mean, I don't find anything lawyering in it. I cannot find anything legal in it if you want to. And there is this, and the presidents, what they are doing is, and this is the last juridical thing I'm telling you about because I don't want to be boring.
It's shocking, is what it is.
It's the principle of predictability. The principle of predictability is a principle which is very present in law. If I steal an apple, I can predict what will happen. Yes? If I got caught.
Yes.
If I commit a crime, I can predict everyone, not only me, not only the doer, everyone else, including the court and the family and everyone else, can predict what can happen to you. Because this is the principle associated with the law. The law must be predictable.
Yeah.
This is why we are creating law. This is why we are creating these social contracts called law, because we are creating a contract between the state and the individual, where the individual has a set of rights and obligations. And if you go over one of them, then you know what will happen. The same for the state. There is no principle of predictability anymore present in Romania, because as I told you, in the elections in the month of May, they can cancel again if the outcome is not the one they desire.
One other extension of that too, they not only canceled the election, but now they have criminalized Georgescu. And that is a whole other thing, because you imagine running for office and having the fear that you're going to be criminalized at the end of that because they don't like your politics. That is outrageous to me to think, and how many people will be inhibited from being a part of the process. You guys are already dealing with the confiscation of your phones, your
computers, right. It
all
started
of this
last
prior
June.
To the election.
Yeah, they already tested us last June, 3 days before the elections. Colleagues of mine and friends of mine were stopped on the street and brought in from questioning, and their laptops and their phones were taken away by the prosecutors. The laptops and the phones which are still in their possession today, they never got them back. But the investigation, I don't know what, nobody knows actually in this world what happens with the investigation. I'm a lawyer. I cannot understand these things. I cannot comprehend. It's beyond my capacity, my legal capacity to understand. And I'm astonished, and I'm looking at this, this situation in Romania. I cannot believe it's happening to my country. I mean, that's why we're going lower and lower in all the rankings in the world. We were 62 closer to democracy. Now we are 72 in a hybrid situation. The company of the countries, you can't even imagine in what company of what countries we are in. Romania, as a member of EU and NATO, is the lowest ranked among all the other countries in closer to democracy. We are in a hybrid system of democracy today.
And the hybrid would be what? A combination of communism?
A hybrid, no, next to junk. That's the next step, next to junk. And we are, again, I'm emphasizing this because it's important. We are member of European Union. We are member of NATO. We believe ourselves to be a democratic state. Well, why did we reach the 72nd place in the rankings in a hybrid situation? Especially because of what happened in December, which was a hit against democracy in Romania.
Why does this matter for America? And what is the relationship between Romania and America now?
My grandfather fought in World War II, and he was at the beginning. Romania was with the Atlantida, which was the German side, and then at some point in time we switched. But it was a little bit too late for us to be considered winners of the war, so we lost territories and a lot of privileges. But we switched and we fought with the Allies. That would be United States, UK, France, and Soviet Union at that time, all trying to push back Hitler's Germany. And my grandfather was saying that every day he was waking up as a soldier and says, Americans are coming. Don't worry, everything will be fine. Americans are coming. And the Americans did come, but they bombed 2 cities in Romania because it was part of the war. And but the Americans came as saviors. And I'm talking about 1945. And where the America was the savior of a small country in Europe, which by taking some stupid political decisions under a king, we didn't make sure what side we should be from the beginning. And that was sanctioned by all the other countries. So I grew up with my grandfather sayings, the Americans should have come, the Americans came, the Americans saved us. We waited for the Americans all these years. So I grew up in a communist time believing that the Americans will come and will save us from communism. And as a child, that was pretty intense, mainly because we didn't have access to the information. So the access to the information that we had, it was very limited. Very few movies, very few, Dallas maybe, the sitcom, if you remember. Yeah. And that was the American perspective for us. And we always believed that America should be, we are good friends and we should be good friends. Well, you are the bigger brother and we are the younger and democratic brother. Now we are the youngest, probably, democratic brother. And we are here to support each other. So after the revolution from '89, when we created this strategic partnership, when we started to visit the United States, even the program which was canceled a few days ago, and the visa waiver program, we were supposed to enter the 31st of March. In the visa waiver, it was a diplomatic win for us. It was coming closer to the bigger brother. So a recognition from the bigger brother by having troops here, by having a military presence, by accepting us in NATO, by pushing for our democracy to flourish. Yeah. Because this is what big brothers do. And it's not, everything is suspended. It's in the air now. Everything is not happening anymore. The big brother, on a good reasoning, I would say, because of what happened in December, decided to stop the communication with us. And here we had some communication, some ridiculous situations where our foreign ministry was trying to chase some Trump administration people in Munich during the security conference, and he said that he had very good conversations with those people, and those people were coming out and said, we don't know this guy. So we had all these awkward, very stupid situations where our foreign policy disappeared. As a member of the parliament, I'm a vice president of the Foreign Policy Committee, and we gave the green light for this minister to be nominated, to be validated. And I had only one question for him. And I said, and this is recorded, this is public records, can you assure us that your personal and the entire ministry personal relationship with United States is okay? That was a question I asked at the beginning of December. And he said, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Well, it is a problem. It is a problem because our communication with the United States, it's very affected by what happened in December. I don't want to say closed. I want just to say that it's affected. It's a problem because this partnership, this strategic partnership itself, it's in danger as we speak now, because as Vice President Vance said, J.D. Vance said, we don't share common values anymore. And one of the common values we don't share is the understanding of what democracy means. And we were never, and we are still not in the position to define democracy as a country. We have maybe an understanding of what democracy is, but we cannot define it because we didn't invent it. Yeah, we took it when it was already developed. And we took it, tried to implement it, and then we implemented maybe in our Balkan way to implement it, which is still fine, as long as it functions, as long as it works. But it doesn't, because once you put aside the right to vote, right to be elected, freedom of speech, well, what's next? What's next? There is nothing next besides that. I mean, your amendments were crushed by the Romanian democracy from the Second Amendment, the Fifth, each and every one of them. Because there is no way you can actually manifest your understanding of democracy the way we just did. And it was unexpected, I must say. It was unexpected for the US. It was unexpected for the Romanian people, for us, for all of us. And it still is. We still can't believe this is happening. This is really happening.
It definitely seems surreal.
And the US started to send very strong signals that, guys, you are not on the right path. The vice president said that twice, mentioned Romania. Elon Musk is retweeting, re-Xing now a lot of, he's Xing, re-X, you can, okay. A lot of decisions which are being taken in Romania, and he is stupefied as well, because all of us are astonished as what's happening. And now we closed the visa waiver. We suspended the process for accessing the visa waiver, which is now, it should, as I told you, should have started at the end of this month. So
what impact does that have on your country, not having the visa waiver available anymore?
It's a step back. It's a step back in that recognition of that big brother I was talking about, yes, of our relationship. You don't recognize me as a democracy enough to have me in the visa waiver. You believe that the Romanian people is still a threat to the US as a immigration kind of possibility, because you are not living in a democracy. And people can actually flee from Romania to the US because of the lack of a misunderstanding, if you want, of this democracy. So obviously you have to, I mean, the signals are very strong. My question, which is rhetorical, I don't want to get into that, what's next? What's next for Romania? What if in May the outcome will not please the European Union, the Brussels, or the Paris recently, because I saw that Paris is coming very strong in the support of this.
Yes, Macron can't stay home for whatever reason.
He has 6 months left. It's all the president towards the end of the term, they become slowly irrelevant on the political. We saw that in our former president. We saw that in all the presidents around the world. When you see that towards the end of the term, if you have the legacy created by that time, it's fine, but you don't create a legacy in the last 6 months, because you'll be remembered for that.
Yeah, in Macron's case, he'd probably rather be remembered for this than the other legacy that's been being created surrounding
There's
his
no
name
legacy whatsoever, but...
Yeah. Well, ask Brigitte Macron.
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
Moving forward, what do you hope for with America, or do you just kind of have an understanding that Romania's got to figure this out themselves?
We have, as I told you, we have to heal from inside out. We have to prove that we are a democratic state. Our understanding of democracy is similar or very close to being similar with the America's understanding of what a democracy means. The outcome of the election should not be infringed, should not be affected by any other foreign or national interests. The Romanians should be left alone to vote for themselves, what they believe is right, and the election process should not be affected by any institutions whatsoever, regardless, Romanian, European, no institutions involved in the process of elections. Leave the people vote, and whatever the vote comes, that will be the vote we have to deal with.
Has there been any talk about resolutions from the parliament to that effect?
We are in opposition. All our resolutions or our amendments to any kind of law have very little chance to pass because they are not listening. They are not listening. It was a very recent example which happened to me personally. I was working on the Pact for Migration maybe 15 years ago. Pact for Migration, European Pact for Migration, was a good thing at the beginning. It was very positive in trying to, accommodate people, not leave anyone behind, but on the same time, still taking care of our economy, the impact of migrants on our medical services, educational services, education system, labor market, everything. So still taking care of that, but still accommodating the people in need. So that was the aim at the beginning for the Pact of Migration. The Pact of Migration for Migration today in Europe, which Romania signed, obviously, because it's a very good listening soldier, without thinking, mostly, is sending codes of migrants to Romania, and if Romania decides not to accept that code, that number of migrants, they will be penalized financially. So we have to pay for every rejection. The problem with the migrants is that they are not coming from outside Europe. They are coming from Western Europe. So Germany or France, it's selecting among the migrants of skill. They receive and welcome and start integrating the migrants they need, and everyone else, and you can imagine by yourself who everyone else is, is going towards Romania. And we have to accept them, because if we don't accept them, we must pay a very high penalty for each individual which we reject.
So I had not heard this yet, because I did wonder, what is the punishment? I've asked that. What is going to be the punishment if you just said no, and that's your punishment? It's financial hardship.
Right. And I was sitting in the parliament, and they have this bad habit, to pass laws very well and change the order of the laws who were being discussed in the parliament. So I was sitting in my bench, and suddenly someone is talking about the coming from EU, talking about the Pact for Migration, and they had a very beautiful report showing how this Pact for Migration is actually helping Romania, and we are stupid because we don't understand. So I raised up. I pushed the button to talk. I went in front of the parliament. This is again public records. It's on my social media as well. And I went there, and I thought, what are you doing? You don't even know what you are voting for. You don't even realize the impact of this international document we signed we're gonna have on our Romanians. We already have 6 million Romanians living abroad. 6 million. It's a huge number. Yeah, and what are you trying to do? We don't say migration is bad for fulfilling the gap, if you want, but we prefer to get back our Romanians instead of having that. Okay, that's one effort. It's difficult, but it's possible. And on the other hand, meanwhile, we have to replace, because the labor market has its own needs. But we don't have to replace it with people who are being rejected already by other societies. Why these people were bad for them and will be good for us? Because probably the migrants who are coming are unskilled, crime-related migrants, dangerous for the society whatsoever. So why are we voting to welcome that when we don't need that? We should have other priorities. We should prioritize getting the Romanians back first. And while we are doing that, and should become a national policy, a national priority to get our Romanians back, because it's not going to work. This flux of migration from inside Romania to Western Europe will continue, because economic means they are not so present. Now democracy is questionable. Right. So what's next? I heard a lot of people who said after December that they want to leave because they cannot believe in what country they are living in. So this flux will continue. So instead of stopping that and then try to get back our migrants, our own nationals, our own citizens, Romanians, and offer them economic opportunities, offer them to the young people not to leave, and the ones who are there to come back, positions where they can be disciple, and because they have a foreign experience and everything else. Instead of doing that, we are just welcoming migrants from Western Europe because France and Germany, and I will just stick with these two countries, just say so. And we have to sign, and we did.
What is the warning for other countries who are watching this happen to you? And I'm not sure what's going to happen next. Obviously, we have to wait for the elections, but there's certainly a warning here. When things are happening, it's like a slow boil, a frog in a slowly boiling pan. You don't feel it. You don't really know exactly what's happening. But I think that you were probably one of the few who could see the writing on the wall.
I believe that EU is not what it was meant to be. EU is not representing Europe anymore. Europe is doing badly, economically speaking, is doing badly socially speaking, culturally, religion-wise, everything is going bad in Europe now. Romanians, some of them came back home, not because the Western society is so awesome that they wanted to stay, no, because it's starting to be bad there. Yeah? So that's probably the direction EU is going, this federalization of states, this, supreme decisions coming from one city called Brussels instead of having national decisions taken by themselves. And this is probably the future they want for EU. And I believe that what happened to Romania, it could happen to Poland now in May because they have elections. It could happen to Portugal when they will have their own elections. It will happen to Bulgaria as well because Bulgaria is closer to the same situation. It is happening everywhere. They are dictating who the president or who their interests should be represented by in other countries. And this should stop because it's madness. It's not what we sign up for. When we sign up for Europe, we've signed up for, flourishing, economic opportunities, open borders, freedom of speech, right to vote, right to be elected, everything. It was like a guarantee for us, like the European Convention on Human Rights, it was like a guarantee for us that everything which is written there, it will happen to us finally after 45 years of communism. And guess what? It's not happening. And another point, it might be funny, but it's legally, trust me, it's very, be afraid of the word stability. When you hear a politician say the word stability, well, it's something else completely opposite happening behind that word. Because it's becoming an obsession of stability.
In America, we're always aware of for the children, so here it's for stability. When a contract is no longer beneficial mutually, it's time to either annul the contract or change it radically.
Right.
And I hope you guys can find your way forward there.
I hope so too.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time and this incredible, thorough explanation of what's going on here.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being with us here in Cluj, Romania.
This is a fan-generated show. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. Also,